Good afternoon. I thought I'd have a little fun with this next video. It's not a funny subject, but I made the title Norm's End Time Timeline, LOL. A friend of mine who's been following these videos um, should have by now been able to put together what I believe in my heart and based on what I've read and seen, when might be or what is maybe the coming timeline for the final years that we're going to go through before Christ returns. So you can see that it's not a funny topic, but the fact that somebody would ask what my timeline was for this uh, makes it about as credible as me trying to guess the bus schedule at your city. I mean, I have no idea exactly. I mean, we have some ideas. The Bible has given us some hints and some clues to what we can watch for that may give us a signal to a certain event happening, and then we have some idea of the order of those events. But again, much of it's still a mystery, and we're still learning more all the time. And but we're getting closer and closer, and certainly Scripture is revealing a lot more to us about these end days. As Daniel's book was closed up at one point, it was said then that it would only be in the end that some of these things would actually be revealed to the generation living at that time. And based on the signs that we've seen and what's going on in the world, I believe that we are that generation, that we are right on the doorstep of the second coming of Christ. So, are we living in the end times? I absolutely believe we are. The funny part of this is that somebody would ask what my timeline was for the end times. So that and 50 cents will buy you a cup of coffee, if you know what I mean. I'm going to give you a rough idea as to what I sort of see happening in a very quick sense, just in a few minutes here. I do believe now, sitting here in the summer of 2021, I do believe that possibly in the next 18 months, we might reasonably expect to see um, Ezekiel 38:39, the war of Gog and Magog. I believe that's a very real possibility based on what is happening in northern Israel right now. Her enemies have lined up against the border. Iran is ready. Russia, Turkey, Syria, other players, they're all in place. The tensions have probably never been higher. They are already engaging in some pretty serious warfare type actions without literally yet declaring war. But rockets have been fired, jets are in the air, things are happening already. So I believe in the next 18 months, it's very reasonable to assume that we'll see the Gog Magog war. I believe in that exchange, I think it's quite reasonable to expect to see the destruction of Damascus in Syria. The Bible has a prophecy about her that she will be so decimated that not one person will ever live in her again. She will never be occupied again. And so that's the oldest city in the world, and she will be decimated to the point that nobody will ever live there again. I think you'll see that happen. I'm fascinated, as I've mentioned in previous videos, about the state of the financial world and where it's at right now, which is a complete different platform altogether than the military and the tensions in the Middle East. The financial part is significant in that the world needs to be prepped a little bit more, in my opinion, for a true globalist mindset to fully set in the world where it will be absolutely ready for an antichrist individual in government. A globalist one world government will be the path of this coming antichrist. Probably by late 2022, early 2023, I'm thinking that there will be the signing of the peace covenant between Israel and some of her surrounding nations. This will be facilitated by the son of perdition, who we know as the Antichrist. And he will have a coalition of countries around him, enabling him and giving him the power to do the things he's going to do. He's going to be a very strong, very incredibly intelligent military mind. He will bring in a partner at some point who is called the false prophet by the Bible. This will be a religious leader who will do something to, in some way, bring the religions of the world together in more unity. Again, that's just a stepping stone to what will ultimately be a religion about the Antichrist himself. I think you're going to see that the first 3.5 years, from 2023 to maybe 2026, you're going to see a real peace in Israel. They're going to believe that this particular individual is probably, maybe be the human Messiah they've been waiting for. There will be a lot of happiness there. He will come in the name of peace, as we know, told to us in Revelations. But coming in peace, but he will be at war in some region constantly for the entire 7 years of Daniel's 70th week. So he will be mostly fighting wars in the Middle East, and his powers and popularity and ideas and philosophy and everything else is going to grow and become more expanding as it spreads out across the world. By the time, in my opinion, around 2026 or shortly thereafter, when he will invade and he will commit the abomination of desolation in Jerusalem. And this is where his partner, the false prophet, will declare to the world that the Antichrist is to be worshipped, that he is a god. And it's at that moment the Jewish people will realize that they have partnered with the wrong guy. They have been completely duped. They will be fearful. They will flee. Many of them will be destroyed. This individual, the Antichrist, he will issue a mark of the beast. It's at this point in the 7 years that Satan himself loses a battle in the heavenlies, is cast to earth. He is full of wrath because he knows his time is short. He will embody the Antichrist. The Antichrist will have supernatural powers, and he will start to target very aggressively, persecuting and martyring Jewish people and the church. And the church is going to come under great tribulation and testing. And for those early seal judgments, the Antichrist and Satan will pour out wrath. It'll be man persecuting man. When the trumpet judgments come in, which will be about a year and a half into that second 42-month term, so the second half of the 7 years, when the trumpet judgments arrive is when I believe the church is actually caught up. Sometime between the 6th and 7th seal, the bride is taken out because God then unleashes his judgment, starting with wormwood. And you can read that in Revelations chapter 8. So the first 4 trumpet judgments talk about the impact that wormwood, the asteroid, will have on the world, the physical world, the sea and the land. And it's shortly thereafter the bowl judgments come out, and you will see celestial things that the world couldn't have imagined. And at this point, God is pouring out his wrath, followed very quickly by the second coming of Christ. And with wormwood already scheduled to happen by NASA themselves, they've labeled this asteroid Apophis, and it arrives Friday, April the 13th, 2029. So that would set up a perfect opportunity if you were to look at the math at probably sometime around 2030 the second coming of Christ would happen, and that would be 2,000 years from his ascension. And so the timing is impeccable. Is it right? I don't know. We That's the funny part of this video. This is my timeline, and I'm willing to put my name on it, and I'm willing to be wrong. And but that's kind of what I'm expecting. But I'm sure we're going to see so much more. So much more is going to be revealed to us. But that's how I see from now until 2030. So we're looking at 8.5 years. I guess that's what we're down to. And all of those events. It seems strange that they can be fit in such a short period of time. I wouldn't have guessed even a year ago that all the events that have happened in the past year could have happened as quickly as they did, but they have. The tensions in the Middle East, the financial disaster waiting around the corner, the break of supply lines, the impact COVID has had on the world economy, the production of food and other essential items and services are going to be dramatically affected as pandemic after pandemic keep rolling in. And if they run out of virus pandemics, they'll come up with a climate change one, and then they'll come up with something else. So the powers that be that are looking at resetting, and the globalists that are involved, and the decline of some currencies, it just seems that no matter what the platform is, in every case we have a pending emergency ready to happen. And right when the world feels like it's losing at every end, this Antichrist will come on the scene. He will accomplish what they have not accomplished before, which is peace with Israel and her surrounding nations. And he will become, in their minds, their Messiah. The world will love his ideas, but he will show his true colors by the midway point of the 7 years of Daniel's 70th week. Jesus only talked about the Great Tribulation. He never mentioned a 7-year tribulation. We've called it that. We attached that name to it. It's called Daniel's 70th week. And the Great Tribulation is something Jesus talked about, which is the last 42 months of that 7 years. And the day of the Lord is at the end when he pours out his judgment and comes to judge the world. So God bless you. That's Norm's end time timeline. How seriously you take it is entirely up to you. That's why I put a little LOL on it, because based on what I'm reading and reading in the Word and feeling in my heart, it seems reasonable what I've explained to you, but certainly I wouldn't go carving it in stone anywhere. But God bless you. These are exciting days, and we're going to be here for most of it to see it happen. And we have to persevere to the end. And the church will be persecuted like never before, and the Jews are going to be persecuted, and many of us are going to be martyred. But what an honor to serve Christ right to the end. But prior to him pouring out his wrath, we will be caught away. God bless you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.